Hey YouTube, how's it going? VenomMan20 here tonight. Tonight I'm going to do something a little bit different. I wanted to give you a top 5 on things I wish I knew before I became a zookeeper. Because if you're new to the channel, about 2 years ago I was a zookeeper for about a year and a half. And there was a lot of things I wish I would have taken into consideration before I had made that jump. So anyway, let's go ahead and get on into it.
All venomous snake handling in this video is performed by a professional. Please don't try anything you're about to see at home.
Here on the end of the hooks, I have Bothriechis schlegeli. This is the eyelash viper. These guys are found throughout South America, but that's beside the point. The only reason I have him sitting here is so you don't have to watch my face this entire video. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into it. I do want to start off by saying I'm not bashing zoos whatsoever. I think every zoo is amazing. I appreciate all the work that zoos do for conservation and raising awareness. You guys are incredible. If you're a zookeeper already, keep up the great work. But the things that have bothered me, now all these come from the standpoint of being a herpetologist, not a bird of prey keeper, not a grassland large mammal keeper, nothing of the sort, so take that into consideration. The first thing that comes to my mind is the fact that it's very hard to make a living working at a zoo. That is number one. They don't pay very well. Your average zoo pays anywhere from $10 to $14 an hour. And that's okay, but once you take into consideration that most zoos that are going to hire you are in a big city, like for instance, let's talk about the biggest, National Zoo, might not be the biggest, but one of the best known. National Zoo's in DC. If you can find a place to rent for less than $1,000 a month, you're doing very good. So at $10 an hour for $1,000 a month, now yet again, I think National Zoo pays a little bit better than that, but they don't pay real great considered other career options. So that's one thing to take into consideration, and I know you guys are probably thinking money isn't everything, and I completely agree. If you can live on that, if you can live a minimalist lifestyle, if you have money saved up in the bank, go for it. Do it, But at the same time, if you don't, take that into consideration. If you like living a lifestyle, eating Chinese every night, you might not want to do that because that's going to cost some money. It's going to run up the tab. So number 2, this one kind of falls against number 1, but it is very hard to find a job in a zoo. When a zoo posts a job on the job board or on the internet, they will get upwards of 200 applicants per job. With that being said, unless your application sticks out, it is very tough to get noticed. If you have great grades in school and have 2 years or 4 years in school, you're going to stand out above a lot. But at the same time, it's a very dog-eat-dog world out there. So they also look a lot towards volunteer work. If you volunteered at a zoo and helped out at a zoo for a couple years, it's going to be easier for you to get your foot in the door. If you have prior experience in the zoo field, if you have friends that work at the zoo, that might help you out. But without those things, it's going to be very tough to get your foot in the door. And yet again, with that pay being lower, is it worth the 2 years of not getting paid volunteering at a zoo? I mean, yeah, it's a noble cause. If you can do it, that's great. More power to you. But it's very tough at the same time. So number 3 would be schooling. Schooling is very important. Getting a job at a zoo without schooling, without that on your resume, is going to be very tough. You're going to need a degree in biology or zoology or some sort of the sciences can apply. But if you have a 2-year degree, they'd really like for you to have a 4-year degree. 2-year degree would be fine. It would be a good starting point. But if you go and get that 4-year degree, you're going to have student loans. I'm not trying to tell you not to. Go ahead, get the schooling. That's great. But 4-year degree, now you're living in DC, working for $14 an hour, paying $1,000 a month for rent. You have all these student loans. You have a car payment. That's going to be tight budget. It's going to be very tight. So take that into consideration. Schooling is very important in this, especially to get noticed. Number 4, I don't want to step on anyone's toes in this one, but conservation. Zoos do a lot for conservation. You guys are great. If you work at a zoo now, keep up the great work. But at the same time, this isn't one to really necessarily blame the zoo for. This just is how people work. Pandas are cute, cuddly, and adorable. People are going to save the pandas. This guy, this little venomous viper from South America, people don't get as excited about. So the animals I love kind of get put on the back burner to a degree in the zoo world. Now, of course, if they're outstanding, like the Panama golden toad, people really seem to get behind them. But if there's some little lesser siren or something, it's kind of hard to get people excited about that. Although the hellbender has really been gaining some traction here lately, and there's been some great conservation efforts on that animal, but that's beside the point. One other thing to touch on this is some animals have a very limited range. Black-headed bushmasters that I work with are one of them. They live inside a very, very small area. I know that some zoos won't breed black-headed, well, they might breed black-headed bushmasters, but they won't breed a lot of very rare animals because they'll do the DNA on them and find out that they're closely related. Now, let's say that's a milk snake. It comes from a very small glade. Those animals interbreed all the time. You know, brother, sister, it happens. And there isn't very much ill side effects we know of. If they are, it's taken care of in the wild. You know, they're picked off one at a time. So I can't necessarily hold zoos, that against zoos, because at the same time, I understand their standpoint. They don't want a bunch of sickly looking animals. But at the same time, if it's an extremely rare snake, let's say there's only like 40 in the world, it'd be nice to breed those and at least get those to other zoos so they can display the animal to raise awareness. I understand if it ain't going back to the wild, if it can't go back to the wild because you think it's too closely related. I totally get that. But it's kind of a shame. At least that's my thoughts. Number 5, the last thing I do want to touch on is social media. Everybody wants to grow their Instagram nowadays. Everybody wants to be famous on YouTube. I get it. I have a YouTube channel. I hope to raise awareness about these snakes. In order to do that, I have to grow my following. But many zoos don't like you posting on social media to a degree. Some zoos won't let you post any animal pictures. They're nervous. I get that. I totally understand. If a snake, let's say, has a dirty cage and you post that picture, that looks very negative. But at the same time, if you're excited that this guy just had babies, I think you should be able to go through certain avenues to be able to post those photos and show your work, show how excited you are for the animal. Yet again, raise awareness. Now, also some zoos have you sign a clause. I guess it's a clause, I don't know. They have you sign some paperwork that states that you won't work with venomous reptiles outside of the facility. I kind of understand that because if I was to get bit by this while working at a zoo, all the tabloids are going to read that I got bit by a venomous snake, Zookeeper gets bit by a venomous snake. That don't look good. But at the same time, I don't like being governed like that. I'm a free individual in a free country. If this is my passion and I'm doing it legally, why does it matter? So that's just my standpoint on it. Yet again, some of these are all debatable. You could be totally the other way in all these. I still appreciate you watching the video. Everybody that watches my channel, I love the subscribers and everything. If you love rare snakes, if you like conservation, if you want to learn more about these amazing critters, make sure you subscribe because I'd really love to have you come back. If you're thinking about becoming a zookeeper, please do. Go for it. If you can afford it, if that's your passion, don't let me talk you out of it. I get to work with these animals in the private sector, but if you don't have the opportunity, I totally understand. Plus, working in the zoo, you get to work with Komodo dragons. You get to work with stuff I'll never touch. So do it. Just do it. Don't think twice. I just want you to know these things before you go into it. But anyway, thank you for checking out this video. Make sure you check out another one. Subscribe so you don't miss the next videos. I'm going to have some more Bushmaster videos coming. I know you guys love those. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful night.